oversight hearing on the grave threats to abortion rights and access in the United States. There will be demonstrations across America this weekend where individuals will be sharing their stories, their individual stories, like the members of Congress did today. I also want to welcome the tireless advocates of the Trust, Respect, and Access Coalition who have come to Washington all the way from Texas to speak out about the horror. Senate Bill number 8. We are here today because for years radical right-wing state lawmakers have systematically chipped away at our rights to reproductive rights. And in 2021, it has become a record-breaking year for the number of state-level abortion restrictions passed into law. And we know that there is no choice or no right to abortion without access to abortion. But draconian laws like SB 8, Texas's law, are not just chipping away at our rights, they are literally bulldozing right through them, bulldozing them into the ground. Meanwhile, we have a right-wing Supreme Court which threatens to demolish the constitutional right to an abortion established by Roe v. Wade nearly 50 years ago in order to advance an unpopular, extreme, anti-choice agenda. Today our choice is being taken away and our health care is under attack. These actions will impact communities across our country with less income who will experience the greatest harm. And it is communities that already have less access to health care and abortion services who will be left without options and without care. Abortion care is health care, plain and simple, and access to it should not depend on a person's income or zip code. Many of us have been in this fight for literally decades, but it has never been more crucial that Congress act to protect abortion rights and expand access in our country. Make no mistake about it, the Texas law would abolish the right to an abortion. It is so draconian. Last week, the House passed the historic Women's Health Protection Act to enshrine the right to an abortion into law. The Senate must act immediately to do the same. We must also pass the EACH Act to end the Hyde Amendment and advance equitable access to abortion care for every person in America. And for too many women, abortion means freedom. Freedom to control our bodies and our future. And we must act to protect that fundamental right before it is too late. There is no democracy if women cannot determine how they are going to make decisions about their own health care and their own bodies. And with that, I'll turn it over to one of my colleagues who's been a fearless champion, an effective champion for the rights of women, as co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, Representative Brenda Lawrence, and she will introduce Ayanna Presley, and each will introduce our speaking order. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to say thank you to Chairwoman Maloney for organizing this press conference. And it's an honor to be with Trust, Respect, and Access Coalition. Thank you and welcome to DC. I want to thank the leadership of those who are standing here. And while Texas is in the forefront of this fight, we're all, because women around this country, we are under attack. I'm often told, Brenda, don't go there. But I have yet to have a discussion about a man's right to get Viagra. I have yet to have a discussion about a man's right to get a vasectomy. But you want to take the rights of women and legislate it by a mostly male body. Shame on you. And in America, when women connect, and when we get it together, you're not going to stop us. We will do what our sisters before us, we have to chain ourselves to fences. We will march and we will fight because we are equal Americans and we have the right to choose for what we do with our body. You know, the other side of the aisle, they like to call themselves pro-life. No, they're anti-choice. Because be very clear, to have the right to have an abortion, to choose, does not mandate that I have an abortion. It gives me the fundamental right, the freedom as an American, constitutional right to choose what is best for me and my family. I often say, people talk about, you know what, we're going to ban abortions, but I want you to know, when you ban abortions or put these restrictive laws up, you're not just banning abortions. You are banning safe and medically safe abortions. You are sentencing women to health crisis and even death. Because guess what? Before we had it on the books, women have gotten abortions. And unfortunately, if you were poor and not privileged, you were in a back alley with a clothes hanger. We have moved way beyond that. And for you to have the audacity to sit in your seat of privilege in this house, being a man, and say that you will dictate for me, and a poor woman, a woman of color who you have never walked in my shoes, but then you want to walk away when that child is born. You don't want to support the health care. You don't want to support SNAP. You do not want to support expanded Medicaid to take care of these children. Step away from the mic, because this is wrong, and we're here to call you out. Disproportionately, young women who are often victims and have a story that many who are trying to pass these laws will sit there and use a tissue to wipe away the tear. They're not asking you to wipe away the tears. They're saying, get out of my way. Allow me as a human being to make the choice that's right for me. A strong majority of voters in America support a national law that protects the freedom to access to abortion. It's way past time. We have so much on our plate. I tell you, I feel like the water hose is right in my face. But you know what? I come up to breathe when it comes to the issue of fighting for women's rights. And I am so proud to say it's way past time. But I have my heels on, I got my earrings on, I got my lipstick in my pocket. And I'm going to fight like hell because we are going to protect women in America. So now I would like to bring forward
Here's your list.
Miss Nancy Pina, who is the Texas Director of Policy and Advocacy for the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice. Nancy?
Muchas gracias y buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Nancy Cárdenas Peña y soy la directora estatal de Texas de Abogacía y Política por National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice. También soy parte de la mesa de directores de Frontera Fund, el fondo de aborto que opera en el Valle del Río Grande, y soy parte de We Testify, el grupo de personas que habla sobre sus historias del aborto. El cuidado de salud, del aborto y la inmigración se encuentran en la intersección de nuestro trabajo. Cuando hablamos de leyes como la SB 8, tenemos que reflejar cómo esta ley afecta a mi comunidad, mi hogar, el Valle del Río Grande. Los retenes de migración establecidos por la migra que rodean el Valle del Río Grande evitan que las personas sin documentación crucen a otro estado para buscar servicios de aborto o salir de comunidades de la frontera. Esto significa que gracias a SB 8, las comunidades indocumentadas perderán el poco acceso que tenían al cuidado de salud del aborto, especialmente una vez que se considera que cualquier persona que ayude a un tejano a obtener estos servicios, una persona como yo que aboga para las comunidades para la justicia reproductiva, puede ser llevada a la corte. Aunque sabemos que la SB 8 es la ley de aborto más notoria y restrictiva de los Estados Unidos, los sistemas de opresión como la detención de inmigrantes operan igual. La legislatura de Texas aprobó una ley que permite a los agentes de policía, agentes de inmigración la misma cosa, como actuando como esos agentes y preguntando por papeles en cada parada. Es por eso que hacemos una llamada a la administración de Biden para abolir entidades como ICE y otras que militaricen aún más comunidades en el Valle del Río Grande. Hacemos una llamada al gobierno federal para que aprueben la ley de protección de la salud de la mujer junto a la ley ICH y HIO. El momento de actuar es ahora. Continuaremos abogando para el aborto como el servicio de salud esencial que es. Bajo demanda, completamente financiado y sin disculpas. Gracias. Now I will introduce Representative Jackie Spear.
Jackie Spear, I believe, has left. So Doris Dixon, Director of Patient Access for Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast.
Hi everyone. My name is Doris Dixon. I am the Director of Patient Access at Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast in Houston, Texas. I have been in the role at Planned Parenthood for 13 years. And so it's no secret that, Texas now has become a very, very hostile state when it comes to abortion and sexual reproductive rights for women. The political attacks are relentless, but I can tell you that Senate Bill 8 is the worst yet. I've been with I already said that. And so, of course, I manage the Patient Access Center, and in our Patient Access Center is what you would all know as a call center. And our call center has pretty much turned into a crisis center in Texas because of SB 8. We have patients that are calling us to beg for services. We have patients that are in shock about this new bill. We have patients that are just in sheer desperation to try and find some type of care. Their stories keep me up at night, and I cry a lot. We've seen patients who've tried to end their own pregnancies by taking herbal teas or something else that they found online, and show up in our health centers in pain and begging if we can see them. And unfortunately, because of this bill, we can't see them. And so we try and find ways to get them out of the state of Texas to try and find care. We've seen patients who are homeless and struggling with drug addiction and know they can't afford children. We've seen patients whose birth controls have failed and patients who thought that they had their period when they were actually experiencing breakthrough bleeding in a pregnancy. Through no fault of their own, they've lost their right to abortion access in their state virtually overnight. In just 1 month, we've already seen this happen to 48 patients. And these are just a handful of stories that might become thousands as long as this cruel law stands. It's exhausting, it's draining, and devastating. And as you see, I stand here right now trying not to cry because I do hear so much from what patients in Texas are experiencing. From no supports, they don't have child care. They're being asked to go out of state. They have no money to go out of state. They have no one to keep their children. They have no one to hold their jobs for them to leave for 2 or 3 days to go out of a state. So even if they do go out of state, they come back home even more destitute than they were before they left. So where do they go? What do we want them to do? Who do they get help from? Having to turn people away feels inhumane and like we're being forced to inflict trauma on patients. We need relief now. Yes. We need it now. Right now, you're experiencing what's just happening in Texas. What happens next year? What happens if Roe v. Wade is overturned? You've got 26 or more other states that will not have care for women. Where do you want to send them? And you will have more women dying. Unnecessary deaths. I appreciate you listening to me. And I ask, and while our pet patients call to us and beg, I am begging someone to help the women in Texas. Please. Thank you. I need to introduce now, is it Representative Veronica Escobar, who is Veronica Escobar, who is the Vice Chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dixon. Thank you, Chairwoman Maloney, for bringing us together. And thank you to this incredible coalition of women and allies who drove all the way from Texas to be here with us today as we stand here at our nation's capital and say, Ya basta. Make absolutely no mistake about it. The Texas law is a threat to people everywhere, not just Texans, but to people everywhere. This law is about crushing women's freedom, and it is about government control over our bodies. And with an activist Supreme Court, a Supreme Court that has become Mitch McConnell's plaything, we know that they are on the road to gutting Roe v. Wade. And that is why Congress must act to protect a constitutional right that a draconian law is disguising as pro-life. Let me tell you about the Republicans who support this law and how they view life. In my state, the state of Texas, we live in a state that does not value children and it does not value life. We have a governor who prohibits mask mandates in schools to protect children from dying of COVID. That's not pro-life, my friends. We live in a state with generational poverty that is rooted in an educational system that depends on your zip code and health insurance that very few people have access to. That's not pro-life, my friends. We live in a state with an absolutely unacceptably high mortality rate, maternal mortality rate. That's not pro-life, my friends. While these Republicans, these same Republicans, oppose our families and our children in our state, here in Congress, Republicans oppose the Democratic pro-family agenda every step of the way. Child tax credits, they don't want them. Child care, they don't want it. Access to health care, they don't want it. So I'll tell you, we have got a fight on our hands, but we have a pro-choice Democratic majority in the House. We have it in the Senate. We have a friend in the White House. We've got to abolish the filibuster. We've got to expand that Supreme Court, and we've got to fight for the very people who are our most vulnerable, young people, people of color, and people in communities like mine. Thank you, Chairwoman Maloney. Thanks to all of you for being here today. Oh, and I will now introduce Ms. Veronica Granado, Advocacy Fellow, Jane's Due Process.
Hi everyone, my name is Veronica Granado. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a Youth Advocacy Fellow with Jane's Due Process. I have had 2 abortions, one as a teen in the RGB and one when I was 20 living in San Antonio, Texas. When I was a minor, I had an abortion through the judicial bypass process with the support of Jane's Due Process. JDP helps teens in Texas confidentially access abortion care by helping them navigate parental consent laws. In total, it took me about 2 weeks between the time that I reached out to JDP and to when I finally had my abortion. I didn't have transportation or money for the procedure and had to hide everything from my mom. I also was living in a strict household, so I had to be strategic about everything. For some teens, the judicial bypass process takes significantly longer and this can make it nearly impossible for teens to access abortion care during SB 8. I had my second abortion when I was 20, and although it was a lot less complicated since I no longer needed parental consent, I still face financial barriers on top of the restrictions already in place, such as forced ultrasound and mandatory waiting periods. Abortion restrictions already delay care for thousands of Texans who make the process, Abortion restrictions already delay care for thousands of Texans and make the process take a lot longer and cost a lot more money the further along you are. Navigating parental consent laws adds even more time to this process. Abortion bans disproportionately impact young people, and especially Black and Indigenous young people of color. Between COVID and SB 8, we are concerned for young people who may not be seeking support. Because of my abortions, I've been able to attend college and pursue my dreams of becoming a mechanical engineer. All young people deserve access to abortion, free from legal barriers, stigma, and shame. Jane's due process will never stop fighting for teens' reproductive rights. Thank you. And now I will introduce Representative Lizzie Fletcher.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much to Doris Dixon, amazing. These organizations in Texas, Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, Jane's Due Process, they have been lifesavers for my constituents for many years. And as a woman from Texas, I want to thank my colleagues who are here and my colleagues in the House for responding with urgency to our beloved home state's cruel law depriving Texans of their constitutional rights, and for their leadership in making sure that we had done the work to be prepared for this day that we believed and feared would come. I thank you, Chairwoman Maloney, for convening the hearing today that was so important in this Congress to understand what is at stake in Texas and in this country at this moment. And I thank the advocates who are here from Texas, from across the country as well, those who are raising their voices, who are telling their stories, and who are doing the work to help women in crisis at this moment. And they are in crisis, as we heard from Doris. They are finding their access to abortion care, and their access even to information about abortion care has been severely limited by a cruel law that deputizes anyone and everyone to act against them. SB 8 in Texas isolates women who are seeking abortions by targeting their support network, discouraging their loved ones from helping them for fear of being sued. But make no mistake, SB 8 is not an aberration. SB 8 is the result of a long-term, sustained strategy to limit abortion access in this country. As Representative Chu explained during our hearing earlier today, these state-based attacks, these onerous, medically unnecessary restrictions on abortion care have been a constant assault on access for decades. And with SB 8, this long, slow erosion became an overnight crisis, effectively banning abortion for women in Texas. And that is why we must act here and now to ensure that our fellow Texans and our fellow Americans are protected. We can and we will. And we've shown that here in this House of Representatives. As I reminded my colleagues on the House floor when we voted to pass the Women's Health Protection Act last Friday, this Texas law has brought us to this moment. But it was also Texas that brought us the case of Roe v. Wade. It brought us this framework for protecting the health, privacy, dignity, and freedom of women and families in Texas and across the country. And it was a 26-year-old Texas woman named Sarah Weddington who filed the case of Roe v. Wade and took it all the way to the Supreme Court. Texas women have fought and will continue to fight for the right to safe, legal, accessible abortion care. I am proud to be one of them. And I'll close with this because I've been thinking about this a lot lately and talking with some of our Texans earlier today. We have some incredible leaders who have come from our state, from Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, who spoke truth in these halls of Congress, to Dr. Ross, who testified before the Oversight Committee today and who has led the movement for reproductive justice. There are amazing women, Texas women, standing here today, including my colleague, Representative Escobar, and others who have been tirelessly fighting for these rights. And we have incredible advocates from Texas here today. And in the U.S. Congress, we Texans are brought together with allies from across the country. The members that you've seen speaking today, and a pro-choice majority in the United States House of Representatives who will not back down from this fight for women in this country and for all Americans to live with the security, freedom, autonomy, dignity, and justice that they deserve. And with that, I believe we've come to the end of our program, and I will turn it back to Representative Maloney.
Thank you, Lizzie. I want to thank all of my colleagues. I want to thank the staff of the Oversight Committee for an incredible hearing that we had today. But I mostly want to thank the advocates from Texas that came here all the way from Texas to speak out today and for what they're doing for all of us back in Texas to protect women. That concludes our presentation. I would like to open it up for questions if you have any, but please keep them to this subject. It's very important to many, many women and like-minded men. Are there any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening and for supporting. Thank you.